You might think that your husband or wife never apologizes, but the truth is they might be apologizing in a way that you just don't recognize as an apology. This was happening in my relationship years ago, and I've seen it happen with the couples that I work with too. I am Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. Let's dive in, and we are going to talk about the 5 apology languages. And if you're like, I don't like the 5 love languages, I don't believe in 5 apology languages, don't run away because, oh my goodness, I have seen this play out in real time in my relationship, which I'm going to share. So we're going to dive in here, and this is one of my weekly bonus videos that I haven't figured out a name for yet, where I'm just going to answer questions that come in. I'm going to share ahas from coaching. I am going to share whatever is on my heart. So I'm so grateful that you are here. And this question actually was spurred underneath last week's bonus episode to share more about the 5 apology languages. So before we get into those, I want to share just how it showed up in my relationship. So I would have told you years ago that I was really good at apologizing. I would always say I'm sorry, and I would be really specific about what I was sorry for, and I felt it. I was genuine. It was real. And it just wasn't landing for my partner. Like I would apologize over and over and over, and it wouldn't relieve the tension. It wouldn't seem to bring us any closer. I could just tell it wasn't landing. And then I learned about the 5 apology languages, and I asked him if he would do the quiz with me, which I can totally link below. It's from Dr. Gary Chapman. And we did the quiz and realized that we have totally different apology languages, and it made things make so much more sense. So, spoiler alert, one of the apology languages is expressing regret, and that is saying, I'm sorry for. So that is clearly my apology language because that's what I use. It's not his though. So the next time something happened, I literally remember we were walking to the dumpster and I apologized and I said, I'm sorry for, I started saying it, and then I stopped myself and I turned it into his apology language. And I said, I was wrong for, and then gave the details, was very specific about what I did that was hurtful and that I knew was hurtful. And I literally saw his shoulders relax before my eyes. I saw his physical body change, which I had never seen before when I was just saying, I'm sorry for. So it landed and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a game changer. This is real. And he wasn't saying I'm sorry for when he would apologize to me because that wasn't his apology language. So he was using variations of I was wrong for. And I'm like, cool, bro, but are you sorry? I need to hear that you were sorry in order for it to feel genuine. I definitely didn't say cool, bro, but when I think about it, it's just like, oh my gosh, okay, you were wrong, but I really need to hear I'm sorry for. So that's how it played out for real in my relationship, and how I know that this is the real deal. And as I share these 5 apology languages, what happens sometimes in coaching calls is people are like, oh, I could hear any of those and it would feel so good. And that's great. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Awesome. Or I could hear 3 of those and it would feel good. That is such great information for the other person to know, for your partner to know. Because, if you're like, I could hear 3 out of 5 and your partner's doing the other 2, it's going to feel like those aren't real apologies. And that was what Gary Chapman found. He's like a therapist, counselor, working with clients, and he would just hear people say like, oh, they never apologize. And it was the exact same experience that I had, where the other person's going, what are you talking about? I always say I'm sorry. So getting into what the 5 apology languages are, the first one is expressing regret, like I said. So it's saying I'm sorry for, it's saying that I feel sorry and being really specific about what that is. So like I said, I was being genuine, but if your person's apology language isn't expressing regret, then it's not going to land for them in that way. So the next one, is my partner's. It's accepting responsibility. So I was wrong for, or it's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. I know that it was wrong. Using language like that. And really, really important in this one, which is really funny when I think about it now, is it's owning up to the thing without making excuses. So one of my unhealthy patterns that I continue to work on to this day and will work on forever is getting defensive, which means that often when I apologize, I jump into the reason that I did that thing and how I had good intentions and that's not what I meant. So that's sort of my go-to, because I'm using defensiveness, which is just an unhealthy strategy that I have learned to get beautiful, valid needs met. So we want to meet all of these things with love. But when I'm doing that, I am just, oh my gosh. So not only was I not apologizing it as apology language, I was also making all these excuses, making it even worse. So now in our relationship, we know what each other's apology language is and we use it. I still jump into that defensiveness sometimes. This is a work in progress. We're not meant to be perfect, but I can recognize it so much quicker, or he can let me know, or we can have an argument about it and then come back and repair from it because I know that it is not helpful to do. So as we go through these, just thinking about what feels so good for you to hear. So I'm sorry for, I was wrong for, and the next one is making restitution. So this is offering to make things right or to fix things, asking, how can I make this better for you? So, in your relationship, that can look so many ways. Maybe you did something hurtful and you ask, how can I make this better for you? And your person is just like exhausted emotionally. And they're like, it would really make things better if you just made dinner tonight and I could just relax. And that would be a way that you could make it up to them. And if you're sitting there saying, I was wrong for, but they're really wanting to feel that genuine apology through making restitution, then your lines are crossed and you're just not connecting. So the next one, genuinely repenting. So this is showing real change in behavior to prevent repeat mistakes. And this isn't necessarily, so often we can't show a change right in that moment. I mean, probably most often you can't show that you're going to change things. So can be where it's important to make a plan for change. So, when I get defensive, that is something that I do. Another one of my unhealthy strategies is shutting down. So in order to make a plan for change, that's telling my partner, I'm working on this. I'm aware that I do this. I'm aware that it's not okay. When I do it in the future, like I said, with defensiveness, can you let me know that I'm doing it? Can you gently point that out to help me? And I'm also going to recognize it. If I do recognize it, I'm going to name it in that moment. And I will always come back and repair when I do the thing. Because so often in our relationships, we really set ourselves up for failure and say things like, I'll never get defensive again. I'll never shut down again. I'll never yell again. I'll never get critical again. And we're not setting ourselves up for success, because if this is a pattern of an unhealthy strategy that you're using to get a beautiful, valid need met that hurts your partner, if this is a pattern, you're not just going to stop doing it just because you say that you're going to stop doing it. So we want to set ourselves up for success in making that change. And yes, there are some things in our relationships, big things that are like, I'm never going to do this again. But we're talking about things like defensiveness, shutting down, criticism, blaming, pointing out what the other person is doing wrong, those kinds of things, those are likely to come up again and again and again. So we want to just show that we're going to work on this and let them know that over time, they're going to see that we're working on this thing. And then the last one is requesting forgiveness. So for some people, you could say to them, I'm sorry for, I was wrong for, here's my plan for change. But until they hear the words, I hope that you can forgive me, or will you forgive me? Or I hope that you can come back and forgive me when you're ready. Until they hear that, they don't feel like the apology is genuine. And we want to meet all of these with so much love. Again, you may resonate with one, you may resonate with all 5, 3, whatever it is. Meeting them with so much love, none of them are better than the other. They are just ways in which we have learned to receive apologies, which could come from a whole host of things. Growing up, maybe what we heard or what we didn't hear, what we saw, so many things. Whatever the reason is, the fact is, if that's the way that your partner receives their apologies and it feels real and genuine to them, I believe we owe it to our partner and our relationship to lean into that thing, even if, and this often happens, it's the hardest thing for us to do. Because for me, it actually feels pretty easy to say I'm sorry for. That flows easily. It's what I would love to hear. I feel it. It feels real. So it's harder to lean into the other ones, but I get to stretch for my relationship. So I'm so curious. Let me know below if any of these resonate with you, or if none of them resonate. Let's talk about it. And if you're like, okay, great, how do I know what my partner's is? You could take the quiz together, and I recommend coming at it from a place of asking them, just saying oh my goodness. I don't know if you talk like that, but saying, oh my goodness, I just watched a video and I learned that there are apology languages. I had no idea. I didn't even know what I like to hear. I would love to know what you want to hear in an apology so that I make sure that it's actually landing for you. Because like I said in the beginning, all this time, your partner may have been using one of those apology languages, but it isn't the one that resonates with you, so you haven't even noticed that they're doing it. This could look like making restitution. They could be apologizing in a way that they start doing things for you. So maybe they make you a coffee, maybe they go out and grab the groceries, maybe they go out and make dinner, and they're trying to make it up to you. But to you, it's like, you might be thinking, oh, you just think that you can do things and that's going to make it all go away. When in reality, they're actively thinking that they're apologizing to you. So this goes deep. I would love to talk about it more. And for these bonus videos, I would love to know, what would you love to hear about? Because there are just a million topics that we could go into. I could talk about relationships all day, and I do. So if there's anything, any challenges that are coming up in your relationship, any questions about this video, anything you want to go deeper on, I am so here for you, and I appreciate you being here so much, so much. So the video on the screen here is going to be the video that I did last week when someone asked, how do I get my husband to apologize? So whether you're thinking husband or wife, this video will be so helpful. And I'm sending so much love into your day. Remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have a super intentional week. I hope to hear from you below, and give this a like if you liked it.